Hi there, it's Kristen from k.becca, and today we'll be making these modern color block wood gift tags. We'll be starting this project in Silhouette Studio, and first I'll open the Tag Basics Set 1 cut files that you can find in the k.becca shop. I'll have a link to these in the area below the video. The base tag file that I'll be using for the project is in this set, but you can use any tag cut file that you have. After I open the file, I'll click on the grouped set and ungroup the tags by opening the Object menu and choosing Ungroup. You'll see boxes appear around the individual tags when I do that. I just want the center tag in the top row, so I'll click on the artboard to deselect everything, and then I'll click that tag to select it. I want to copy the tag cut file over as a new document, and I'll do that by first pressing Ctrl or Command plus C to copy, then clicking over to the new file and pasting the tag cut file by pressing Ctrl or Command plus V. Now I want to add a word to the tag. First, I'll open the Text Style menu from the top right menu area. Then I'll choose the font that I want, and for this project I'm going with Lynott Semi-Bold, which is a clean sans serif font. This weight of the font is a free download, and I'll link to it in the area below the video. Next, I'll click the text tool from the left menu and type out the word. For this tag, I want the word joy, and I want it to be vertically oriented. So I'll type the J, then press enter, type the O, then press enter again, and finally type the Y. The default size and alignment isn't quite what I want. So I'll go over to the Text Style menu while the word is selected and click Center under the justification area to center the letters. The text is a little too big to fit the tag well, so next I'll size it down from the default 72 points to 60 points. Lastly, I want to tighten up the line spacing, so I'll change that from the default 100% to 80%. Then I'll drag the word over to the tag to make sure that it fits and looks good. And lastly, I'll click and drag to select both the tag and the text area. And I'll open the Align menu from the top right menu area and click Align Center to center the word horizontally on the tag. If I used Align Middle here to center it vertically, it's not going to be what I want because the top of the tag will be taken into consideration and the word will be too high on the tag. So I'll just eyeball the vertical centering and we'll use the down and up arrows on my keyboard to nudge the text area a little bit. After it looks good to me, I'll click and drag to select both the tag and the text area, and I'll move it to the top left of the artboard. I want to make some tags with different words, so I'll select just the tag cut file and press Ctrl or Command plus C to copy it, and then I'll press Ctrl or Command plus V to paste it. I want this tag to be oriented horizontally, so I'll select it and open the Object menu and choose the Rotate option, then the Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise option. Next, I'll click the Text tool from the left menu, which opens the Text Style menu. I want to use the same font and font size as I did on the previous tag, so I'll make those changes in the menu, and then I'll type out the word cheer. I want a little bit more room between the letters, so I'll also increase the character spacing from 100% to 110%. After that, I'll click and drag to select both the tag and text area, and I'll open the Align menu from the top right menu area and click Align Middle to align everything vertically. I'll eyeball the horizontal centering this time around since the tag is oriented horizontally. After that, this tag is ready to cut too. I'll skip ahead to after I designed the last tag, which says Peace and uses the same text options that I used on the cheer tag. I've copied the tag cut files until I have a bunch laid out on the artboard, and now I'm ready to cut them. I'll cut one set from BARC Wood with adhesive backing and a second set from plain white cardstock. I used a blade setting of 9 and quadruple cut the tags from the BARC Wood. I've been able to get away with a triple cut when I have a sharper blade, but the blade that I was using was on the dull side, so I double cut twice just to be safe. Okay, so I just finished cutting the tags from the adhesive backed BARC Wood, and you can see that I used painter's tape to tape around the edges of the BARC Wood sheet before cutting. This is because, number 1, I wasn't using a new mat, so it didn't have a whole lot of sticky. And number 2, the protective paper on the back side of the BARC Wood is coated and may have slipped around as the tags were being cut. The painter's tape holds everything in place with no slipping. After I remove the tape, I'll start to remove the tags from the sheet of BARC Wood. Because of the thickness of the bark wood and the fact that my blade wasn't new, my die cutting machine didn't cut the entire way through the backing paper in places on the bark wood. But this isn't a big deal, and it usually won't be. What matters is that it did cut cleanly through the bark wood and adhesive layer. As I'm removing the tags, it's okay if a little bit of the backer paper tears here and there. It's also no problem if the backer paper remains in some places when you're weeding out the letters on the tags. As long as large areas of the adhesive backing aren't being exposed, it's totally fine. And if the little overhanging areas of backer paper bother you, you can always trim those off with scissors when you're finished removing the tag from the bark wood. Now that I've removed all of the tags, I'm ready for the next step. First, I'll lay down a sheet of scrap cardstock, then I'll place one of the tags onto the cardstock, and I'll use painter's tape to block off a portion of the tag and tape it in place so it doesn't move around. You can also use washi tape for this, but I like the wider painter's tape because it gives me more room to work. As I'm pressing the tape into place, I want to make sure that it's adhered well in the area where it covers the tag, especially on the bottom side, which is where I'll be adding color. Next, I'll place a second piece of scrap cardstock onto my work surface. You can use any palette or surface that works well with acrylic paints here. The first paint color that I'll be using is Watermelon Slice by Americana. I don't need much of it to cover a single tag, so I'll squeeze out about a dime-sized amount onto the scrap cardstock. Then I'll load a stippling brush with the paint and we'll stipple off any excess onto the scrap cardstock. After that, I'll start stippling the paint onto the tag from the bottom of the painter's tape down to the bottom of the tag. I like using a stippling brush for this because I just want a very light, even coat of paint, but if you don't have a stippling brush, you can use any paintbrush or foam applicator that you have. Once I've covered the blocked off area of the tag with paint, I will very carefully remove the painter's tape from the tag. Now the front of this tag is finished, and I'll set it aside to dry completely. You might notice that the bark wood is curling a little bit in the area where I just painted the tag. This isn't a problem because as the acrylic paint dries, the tag will flatten out again. And if for any reason it doesn't, you can put a book or a stamp block or anything like that over the tag to flatten it out after it's dry. I'm going to continue making tags, and we'll see you back here when they're all dry. Okay, so it's about half an hour later, and the tags are completely dry. If you're interested in the acrylic paint colors that I used for all of the tags, I'll list them in the area below the video. Now we just have one more step before we're finished with the tags. Remember that I cut a separate set of tags from plain white cardstock earlier? I'm going to bring those die cut tags in, and I'll use those to reinforce and strengthen the bark wood tags. First, I'll peel off the protective paper from the back of the bark wood tag. Then, I'll line up one of the cardstock tags underneath and we'll press the two layers together. I found that the easiest way to line up the two layers was to use the letters on the tags as guides. Once the two layers had the letters lined up, I carefully pressed the two layers together to finish the tag. But it's totally okay if your two layers are slightly off around the edges. In those cases, you can just trim off any excess with scissors, and no one will ever know. You can tie the finished tags onto gift bags and boxes and packages of home-baked holiday treats, and I also think that these would make really pretty modern Christmas tree ornaments too. You could even make tree or ornament shapes instead of a tag shape if you want to go in that direction. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more die cutting craft videos, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in again soon.